This is Viterbi Voices.
Coming to you from the University of Southern California, Viterbi School of Engineering.
We're here to give you the inside scoop on research, classes, student life, and so much more.
All of these shared by students, faculty, alumni, and other members of the USC community.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Viterbi Voices, the podcast. As usual, I am one of your hosts. My name is Paul Ledesma. I'm the Executive Director of Undergraduate Admission here at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering. And as usual, my co-host is, not as usual, I guess. She's not here. Maya's not here. And we don't know where she is. I'm kidding. We know where Maya is. We're recording this on a day where Maya is out of town. I'm very jealous because Maya has traveled to Las Vegas, where she is watching or about to go watch the Pac-12 championship football game. And we didn't have a very secure Wi-Fi connection for her to record. So we decided we would do this without her. And as a result of that, it's just me here as hosting, but I'm not alone. I'm joined by a brand new addition to our podcast family. So mystery guest, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Aisha. I'm a junior here at USC studying biomedical engineering, and I'm also pre-med. So I get kind of the best of both worlds there. And happy to be here.
And where are you from, Aisha?
Oh, yes. I am from Kaneohe, Hawaii.
Awesome. Very cool. Which is on the island of Oahu?
Oahu, yeah.
Oahu, good. By the look of your face when I was talking, did you not know that's where Maya was?
I did not know that she was in Vegas for the game. I'm so jealous. I really wanted to make the trip out, but I have a performance for one of my classes today, so I couldn't.
What's the class? What's your performance?
I'm actually taking a hip hop dance class this semester.
Oh my God, my daughter would be so jealous.
Fun.
Yeah.
So
you're performing today?
Tonight. Yeah, as kind of like our final little showcase.
That's cool. Where's the performance?
It is at Kaufman.
Oh, cool.
Dance, yeah.
Awesome.
Have you ever been like sad that I could not make it out to Vegas?
Have you been always a big dance person? Has dance been part of your life?
I haven't taken any official dance classes. I guess I used to do ballet when I was younger, and then I kind of transitioned more into gymnastics. But I always loved dancing. Floor is my favorite event while doing gym. So was happy that I could come here and actually take a dance class. And it's been amazing.
So it's related. It's related.
Yeah.
What's the song that is your final performance? Or is it like a mashup?
It's a song by Bruno Mars called Perm, which is actually one of my favorite songs of his. Like,
put some perm on that attitude. You got to relax.
Exactly.
Yeah, we say that a lot in my house.
Got it.
Now I'm going to go listen to that song. All right, Aisha, that's not why you're here. And I'm sorry that I had to break your heart that Maya is off having a great time and not actually working. And I'm upset as well. I have friends there, and it was a brief moment where I might be going, and then I didn't, and now I'm working, and I'm upset. But anyway, I know it's not fun, but you are bringing to us your own episode here about a very particular and special class here in the Viterbi School of Engineering that you're also participating in. Can you tell everybody what the class is about, and then we'll get into what the episode is about?
Yeah, so this class is called Innovation in Engineering and Design for Global Crises. It's a super incredible opportunity offered here at USC that I thankfully learned about this summer. And what we do in the class is we try to ideate and create either products or general kind of companies that can help to beneficially impact populations around the world that are being affected by a certain global crisis going on that year. So it's a really interesting way to try to make a tangible difference while still in school, rather than kind of just learning while you're in the classroom and then applying it later. It's a really applicable class, especially with everything going on in the world right now.
It's very, very cool. This class has been going on for a few years, with each year kind of dealing with a different global crisis. It was highlighted by PBS with a PBS documentary called Lives Not Grades. If anyone's out there, they can definitely go search PBS for this documentary to see what a previous class was doing in dealing with the Syrian refugee crisis. And I may have missed it, but did you tell them what this particular class is about, what your class is doing this year?
I did not. So this year, the global conflict that we're tackling is the war in Ukraine. So we're trying to build products and systems that can essentially help to improve the quality of life of Ukrainian refugees who are being displaced due to the war.
And as part of this class, you traveled, correct? You actually went off to Romania in September. Is that right?
Yes, I did. I traveled to Romania in December. It was like,
It was September,
oh,
right? Or December?
oh, I'm so sorry, September. Yes. It was a once in
I'm
a
like,
lifetime.
it's been 2 days. You haven't been there for a day and come back. It's December 2nd today. Come on.
Oh, did I say December? September.
Yes.
September is what I meant. I traveled there in September, yes, much earlier in the year.
Okay.
And we were there for about 10 days. So it was just a once in a lifetime opportunity for me. I've never traveled to Europe before. So
Wow.
this was my first time. And the whole trip we were meeting really important and inspirational people, people that were helping to house Ukrainians, and just helping to bring them supplies or take supplies over the border to Ukraine, and people within government who were helping just with the movement of people as well. It was an incredible experience. And then, of course, talking to the refugees themselves, the people who have had to move because their houses are being shelled. And it's just not a safe environment anymore. Talking to them was just, it really changes your perspective, and definitely something that I will think about for the rest of my life.
I bet that was challenging. And this episode, who are you talking with in this particular episode?
Yeah, so I'm talking with Emily and Nick, who are both Viterbi students as well. And they went with me on the trip to Romania. And all three of us are actually in different groups too. So we're all working on different projects.
Oh, great. So we get to hear a little bit from all the different projects, and I hope a little bit more about those perspectives. So without spoiling too much of it, let's get out of the way, hand it right over to you to have this discussion with Emily and Nick and to talk about this very, very special particular class dealing with global crises and innovation.
Hi, everybody. My name is Aisha. I am a current junior here at USC studying biomedical engineering. And I am also taking part in CE 486, Innovation in Engineering and Design for Global Crises, which will be the topic of today's podcast. And I'm originally from Kaneohe, Hawaii. And along with me today, I have two awesome other students who are also in this class with me. I'll just have them introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Emily, and I'm a junior studying environmental engineering at Viterbi. I'm originally from Fresno, California, which is the Central Valley. It's a great place to be sometimes. Okay. And then my fun fact is that I cannot snap my fingers. Like, I just can't. It just doesn't
really
work. So yeah.
Dang.
It's sad.
We're gonna have to have like a lesson during class one day.
People have tried, so many people have tried to teach me how to snap, and every time it doesn't work. It's a bummer.
Okay, well, we'll work on that, Emily. We'll work on that.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Nick Enriquez. I'm a senior biomedical engineering student. I'm from San Diego, California. And I guess for my fun fact, I have a twin brother, and we're trombonists in the Trojan marching band.
Very fun. I'm trying to remember if I knew that, and it's like jogging my memory a little bit.
I definitely did not.
That's my go-to fun fact. Well, my go-to fun fact is either twin brother or the marching band, but I was like, I don't know.
Include both. Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's super cool. Okay. So as I said before, the topic of this podcast is gonna kind of be about our class and just our experience within it. So just to give some background, me, Emily, and Nick all went to Romania in September of this school year for 10 days to see what the situation was like there in terms of how they're handling the current war in Ukraine. So the point of this class every year is that each cohort of students that take the class participate in ideating, product building, and company making for a different world crisis every year. So this year, our class is tackling the war in Ukraine. So we went to Romania, which is a neighboring country, to kind of talk to the refugees and the NGOs and nonprofit workers there that have been dealing with this conflict since February, and just to gain more insight and perspective into what it actually looks like over there. Yeah, so let's get into our questions. So first of all, we'll start kind of generally. What made you guys decide to take this class?
Yeah, I guess I can start with this one. So there are two main reasons why I want to take this class. The first is a little selfish reason. The second is a little more of a selfless reason. I'll start with the selfish reason because I'll end with the better one. So selfishly, obviously I wanted to grow personally. I wanted to get the global context and sort of go through this process and learn from professors in a little bit more of a formal setting, how to go through the innovation entrepreneurship process. So from a selfish reason, I just wanted the education, I wanted the global context, and I wanted to sort of understand how we can go through there. For the selfless reason, again, this is a very impactful subject. It's a humanitarian crisis that's ongoing and will likely be ongoing for some time, and the effects will be felt for probably decades. And so, being a biomedical engineer, I really wanted to understand how I can use my expertise to help people, and just in general how I can use them to help people. And having this class as a foil or lightning rod to sort of direct that and to give me an outlet in how I can do that is really what drew me to this class.
Awesome. That was incredible. Yeah, what about you, Emily?
I took this class because I wanted to have a real world experience where I could actually apply the engineering that I was learning in class and do something valuable with it, do something impactful that would actually help others. And this class provides the opportunity to do that and to learn how to do that moving forward and to take that mindset into all future projects and careers that I work on. Like anything moving forward, I'll have such a deeper understanding of how to look at a problem and really analyze it and break it down and see what can be done and how engineering can be applied to actually affect change and make an impact on those around me.
I think it's really interesting that, something I didn't mention before for all of you listeners is that this class is also an interdisciplinary class. So while it is housed within Viterbi as a civil engineering course, it includes students from all different types of majors. And I want to say in our class, it's actually majority not engineering. Do you guys agree?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so just us being engineers in the class is kind of cool because we come from, I feel like, the more product design, technical backgrounds. So to be able to kind of combine that with all these other skills that students have here at USC is really awesome. So now kind of hopping into what we did in Romania and our experiences there, I was just wondering what was kind of the most rewarding experience you had while in Romania, or not even rewarding, but like eye-opening?
I thought that for me, the most rewarding experience that I had while I was there was just seeing the community response that lasted not only when the war started back in February, but even when we went in, what was it, September? Yeah, so seeing that community response and seeing how much they really cared about the Ukrainians, how much the Romanians cared about the Ukrainians, and didn't treat them as a temporary guest that they would stop helping after a few days. No, they the continued response and support of their neighbors was just really rewarding to see. So I think that was definitely the most impactful thing that I saw while I was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say maybe not necessarily the most rewarding, but definitely the most eye-opening experience to me was when we were actually boating down the Danube and we were going along the Romanian Ukrainian border. And we were going along there and everything looked the same on both sides of the river, both sides of the border, right? And it really struck me as odd that, I've seen the Mexico-US border. I have family in Mexico, but that border to me has always been like a concrete line. And seeing a border between Romania and Ukraine and knowing the history of that area, it just really struck me as odd that the land is sort of on the same on both sides. It's sort of an arbitrary line in the sand, and how it's just a geographical boundary that is just there sort of at the will of the river. And so sort of like tying into this, like what it really was eye-opening to me was understanding that the people are also sort of like that, where you have all this sort of melting pot of ethnicities, of backgrounds, of cultures, where you have so many people who are so similar that you can have, like Emily mentioned, you have these people who the Romanians can open their homes into the Ukrainians because they see themselves as not necessarily an other group, but as extensions of themselves and as their neighbors. And so I think that was really eye-opening to me to sort of understand how that's reflected in geography as well.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with both of you. I think that our trip to Romania was really like a once in a lifetime experience, at least for me, I think. So even though we did miss a hefty amount of school, it was incredibly worth it to just see the resiliency of all the neighboring communities, to see the resiliency of the Ukrainians, and to really just gain that perspective that we are so distant from here in America and at USC. So just kind of seeing that firsthand, I think, was like amazing to kind of just tie into what both of you guys said. Kind of moving on from that, what did all our trip to Romania teach you, or what did you learn from it?
I learned a lot. Honestly, it's kind of hard to break it down into just one thing.
Mhm.
I would say though, it gave me a different context in the world, where I've never been to Eastern Europe, and being fortunate enough to be in this class and going through and having this opportunity for USC to bring us all out there, was having that context of how these people have different cultures, they speak a different language, but they're all fundamentally still people, and we all are still connected. And seeing that, I don't know, just seeing like how similar everybody is kind of going through there and really just connecting on a different level. It's very easy to isolate as like, oh, they're Ukrainians, they're over there. But sort of going there and meeting them and seeing these refugees was really impactful. And I think like teaching me, like learning there, I obviously didn't learn the same way as going into class. I learned about I learned a lot about the healthcare system because that's personally what I'm interested in. But I think on a larger context, it was just sort of understanding like that these people are real, if that makes sense. It's really easy to sort of abstract yourself in the news context and seeing all these channels, but understanding that they're real and they're people, and it just gives you a different context to look at their problems.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like what you were saying about how we're all similar, like truly, we met these people that migrated from Ukraine to Romania, and they seem like just normal people like us, and but at the same time they're experiencing these incredible hardships. And I think, like just as you were saying, like it's really easy to kind of separate ourselves from it being so far away, but being there physically and talking to them and hearing their stories just brings like a whole nother level of understanding and just perspective for us. Emily, do you have anything that you want to pitch in?
Yeah, absolutely. I do think like I'll echo what you guys said in terms of just coming away with a much better understanding of the context there and how the people were affected. That was definitely something that I learned a lot about while I was there, but also from a different perspective, I also saw I gained a much better understanding of just how complex any problem can be. Like from an engineering perspective, I feel like you always just want to identify a problem, develop the solution, but like it's never that simple. There's so many layers to each problem, and really finding the best way to attack a problem and see, like you really have to be there, like you have to be there in person and talk to people. You have to talk to so many people to really understand what's happening and what the real problems are and like how you can address them. So just seeing that complexity and then learning how to kind of sort through it and address it. That's another big thing that I just learned while I was there. Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's funny. That's a great way to put it. I felt like a Roomba going through there. As weird as it sounds, just kind of like I had like a direction to go in, and then I would run into something, and I'd be like, oh, okay, so that's how that works there. And then I'd go off in a completely different direction, find the next object, bump into it, and go down there, just in pursuit of whatever problem I thought I was going to try and solve. And just I would keep hitting things in the way, and I'd have to go to explore something else, and just like really getting a map of the area, or the landscape of the landscape, and just sort of understanding how complex everything is.
Yeah, for sure. I love that analogy, being a Roomba. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's really funny.
Yeah,
It's a pretty accurate description too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. But yeah, I think, yeah, as you were saying, Emily, just like I feel like we take all these engineering courses, all our math, science, and whatnot, but we never really apply our technical skills in a sense to real world problems and projects that we are working on like right now. So I think you're totally right, like gaining that experience of going straight to identifying the problem, which is like the very beginning of the creation of like all these amazing things, was just great to see, because I feel like as engineers, we usually kind of join a project or like help with something that is up and coming. So going straight down to the roots, I don't know, was something that I didn't think I would experience, but then did. And yeah, I think it was really valuable. So now that we kind of talked about Romania a little bit, we came back from Romania to the US, back to here at USC, and are now working on ideating and creating, first of all, identifying the problem. As our professors say, you need to identify the problem, and working on building solutions to potentially address that problem and help these people that we spoke to. So I was wondering what you guys are currently working on now in the class with your teams.
Our team is working on, in a sentence, chronic medication access for elderly populations. To dive into a little bit more and like sort of why that's an issue, in Ukraine, men are not allowed to leave. They have to stay in the country. Whether they fight, whether they continue to provide infrastructure, they're in a state of emergency and they're not allowed to leave. Women are allowed to leave, but elderly people sometimes generally don't necessarily have the capacity to go and to evacuate and to go and uproot their life and live somewhere else as a refugee or a displaced citizen. And so they create a strain on the medical system that's already strained, because now they are suddenly without a lot of their support systems, and they don't have as many caretakers as they would, or their caretakers are even more strained because, again, it's sort of a compounding issue. And so one of the things that we found in the clinicians and the patients we talked to is that they're having trouble getting their medication. Because again, it's a huge interconnected web. It's partially a supply issue, partially just an access issue. But we're really trying to hone in on that problem area, and we're still refining again like how we can help and what we can design. But we're really trying to target that elderly population, like 65 and older, who have chronic diseases or take medication daily or consistently, which is a very large percentage of the population who cannot leave because of this medical condition. And making sure that they're taken care of and they're not passed over as invisible victims of the war.
That's awesome. And myself being a biomedical engineer major as well, I love to hear about all these different like healthcare potential solutions. So that's awesome.
Yeah, we have a lot of healthcare oriented people in our group, so it was pretty good. There's one person who's not, but I think she's on board now, so we're smooth sailing.
You convinced her.
As smooth as can be. Yeah.
Got it. And what are you working on, Emily?
So our team identified warmth as a problem, heating as a problem. And so because the energy infrastructure is very damaged in Ukraine, because Russia keeps attacking their energy infrastructure, because it's a good way to target them because it's like the winters there are really harsh. And so if they attack the energy infrastructure, it directly affects the civilians. And so we're looking at identifying and developing a way to provide heating for people, specifically in apartments in large cities, because that's one of the main places that we've identified where the electricity consistently goes out. So they have no access to any heating at all. And the temperatures there drop below freezing, below zero consistently during winter. And so it's a really dangerous situation to be in if no heating is provided at all. And so we're looking at developing some sort of solution to provide heating so that they do not like suffer due to the cold temperatures. So yeah, that's where we're looking right now, and identifying, developing a solution for like a low resource area, because like they don't have access to electricity. Their natural gas lines are down. Solar is not an option during winter. So really narrowing in on what resources we can use to address this problem. That's where we're looking right now and what we're working on.
Awesome. Oh, I just hear about your guys' projects and it just like sounds amazing. Like really put in work into this. I love to hear it.
Well, really putting a lot of work into making it sound amazing.
True, but it will be amazing.
Exactly. Come next semester.
Next semester.
Next time we go back out to Romania.
Yes. Oh, thanks for bringing that up, Nick. Another great thing about the class is that we went to Romania to kind of talk with people initially, gain a better perspective, and see and work on identifying problems within the crisis. And then once we have all of these great ideas of how we may be able to help, half of the class goes back to Romania in February, I believe they're going.
Yeah, I think so. I think
February.
Slated for like mid-February.
Gotcha. Yeah. So the class goes back to Romania, or is going to go back to Romania in February, and work on seeing if these problems and potential solutions will actually make a positive impact on the people that we talk to, and are hoping to impact. So yeah, another exciting thing to kind of see the continuation of it and be like, okay, we went there, we identified problems, and now we're going back to see if the solutions we came up with can actually help these people. Yeah, I guess I can touch on what I do in the class a little bit. I'm part of a established startup company now called Frontita Records that was actually started at USC by students a couple of years ago in 2020. And what we do is that we build electronic health record systems. So whether that's tracking patient data or keeping a pharmaceutical inventory, all that kind of good healthcare stuff, we can make it in a comprehensible and very low cost customizable system for these low resource areas. So our company actually got started in Camp Moria, which is the biggest refugee camp in the world, located in Greece, which is where the first students of this class actually went and built solutions for. So really awesome to see the continuation of this company and where it started and where it is now, and how we're continuing to try to make a positive impact in different conflicts around the world. Yeah, so that's what I'm working on. So a little less from the ground up than Nick and Emily, but still within the startup realm.
Do you want to expand on a little bit on the challenges or what you're trying to do in Romania and like sort of what context you got from there?
Sure.
Like being in a more established position?
Yeah, totally. I went to Romania and again, it was such an incredible experience. And being with a more established company, we kind of had a better, target goal, since we already have our product and know kind of how we can serve various populations in the area. So our goal from the trip was really to see how the healthcare field operated in Romania and with these incoming Ukrainians, and how their patient data is being tracked from Ukraine to these neighboring countries that they're now being housed in, and seeing or just identifying various organizations and nonprofits that are working to ensure that these people get appropriate care, even if they're not in their home country. Yeah, so that was kind of our goal from the trip. And now, being in the class, we are currently working on just really outreaching to as many Ukrainian, Romanian, and just broader Eastern Europe clinics and healthcare organizations, to see if we can build a system for any of these companies, so that we can relieve a little bit of their stress and the hardship that paper documentation can usually have, especially on these smaller, lower resource companies. So just trying to step in there and lend a helping hand to them. I feel like that was a very long-winded answer for a very uncomplicated question, but yes.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was also curious, like personally, I know you met with the couple of the telehealth companies out there. I wasn't sure like where you guys were at, what you're looking to do, or, you know, if you could talk about it, it's kind of top secret stuff.
Yeah. No, none of it is top secret. You know, we love me and Nick's, my company and Nick's current team are actually hoping to collab a little bit. I don't know if Sarai told you, Nick.
Oh,
yeah.
I'll be honest, I missed today's meeting, so I think I probably missed that debrief. But yeah, no, I know we talked about it a little informally, but yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of overlap there.
Yeah, we love healthcare and also warmth, Emily.
Yeah, gotta love it.
Gotta love it.
I mean, yeah, it is two biomedical engineers. So.
True. So you're a little outnumbered, but that's okay. Okay, so kind of going off of that, I was wondering how throughout this process you've been able to kind of use your technical engineering skills to, you know, work on your prototypes, or just within the working with the team aspects, and how like you've really been able to intertwine your major with the class and your various projects.
Yeah, I can start with this one. I think that like one of the most important parts of this class is developing a team that has a lot of different backgrounds. And so having an engineering background and having someone from business or economics and other social sciences and hard sciences, it's all equally important because we all just have such a different background and understanding of and interpretation of everything that we are analyzing and looking at. So like we all have a different outlook on each problem and different perspective. And so I think being able to bring my engineering into the class has primarily just been through kind of my outlook and perspective on the problem that we identified. And then now that we're, you know, starting to move towards prototyping, there's certainly more engineering going into it. Literally on Monday, we were talking about heating and developing like an indoor heating unit. And then, you know, Brad mentioned thermodynamics and fluid mechanics. And I was like, that's me. Ooh. I know that. I was like, gotta remember those classes, you know. But it's definitely, it's cool to be able to bring what I learned in class into this project. So yeah, definitely just having the engineering design and also, you know, the mechanics and fundamentals behind how things like heat transfer work, you know, is definitely important, particularly for my team's topic area. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like your project in particular, like from all the teams, is a very like engineering based project. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but I feel like it involves the most like physical engineering. And I also heard Brad talking to you guys about like, oh, like this is a basic physics problem, something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is literally flashing me back.
Yeah, for sure. There's lots of physics and more upper level engineering in there, but yeah, it's cool to be able to apply it. And yeah, definitely having like a physical product is, there's two kind of main roads that teams go on in this class, which is, a software virtual product or a physical product. And taking the physical product route definitely requires a little bit more engineering heavy skills, but it's good time. And also like it's really cool because I actually get to bring in environmental engineering in specific into the project, because if like on Monday we were talking about like combustion and just different forms of burning things like wood or other fuel sources. Mm-hmm. And then you get into like the air pollution, and you get to talk about like particulate matter and carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide and all that good stuff that you learn in environmental engineering, which sounds a little nerdy to everyone else, but it's fun time, so it's cool to be able to bring it in.
Love it. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I feel like I have the polar opposite experience. As kind of a biomedical engineer here, you're taught to be like or at least at USC, you're taught to be a jack of all trades, right? So I like fluid mechanics, heat transfer, thermo, like those are all the worst classes I've never had to take, and I'm really grateful for that. But I really feel, or I feel like a lot of the classes that I have and that I have had have not necessarily taught me like specific directly transferable skills. I think a lot of the best thing that I could say about taking away like the experience that my classes have given me for the context of this class is that it's given me a way to sort of understand how to look at a problem and how to break it down, and what you can do and sort of work around in a space to find a creative solution, and sort of like that sort of engineering process, rather than like a specific skill set and like or a specific tool in my toolbox. I really hope we don't do anything with MATLAB, but in the event we do, maybe I can pull something out there. But I would say I don't necessarily have any directly applicable classes, but having all my classes be sort of in that medical context has sort of prepped me for working in the healthcare space. Mm-hmm. And that's also really why I wanted to work in the space too.
Yeah. I feel like as like just taking all of these, hard engineering STEM classes, it really like gives you perspective, but also like a different mindset, I feel like, on approaching just like what you were saying, Nick, like just problem solving paths. So yeah, even if we might not have like directly transferable skills, which I totally agree. I've been doing a lot of like emailing and some like UX like app design, which is something I did not know coming in. So, but I feel like having that kind of mindset and engineering, is kind of what I apply to this class.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then so now you guys are kind of like in the you've identified your problem and you're working on creating solutions. But how were your teams about a month ago? Like what were you guys doing to get to these solutions, and how I guess were your engineering mindsets being applied then too?
Yeah. I mean, a month ago, I'm sure Emily's kind of in the similar boat. A month ago, we were struggling. It was not really, it was a fun, when I say it was not a fun time, I mean, it was a lot of work, a lot of confusion, a lot of rethinking, some existential crises of like, oh my God, what are we going to do? How are we going to find a place to solve? There's all these gigantic problems. Right. Mm-hmm. And as we've gone through here, as we understand that, like, again, like kind of falling back on the Roomba analogy, we find a problem we think we want to pursue. We realize, oh, there's so many problems. We have to look at this. Then we explore that. We find another problem, and we're just kind of bouncing our way around until we settle on something. And so my team actually ran into this problem last week when we were talking about it. Like, okay, what are we looking to do? Like, here we have all these problems we've been exploring. Like, what can we do with this? And so we basically wrote them all down. We analyzed them. We decided, we built a huge matrix because, everybody loves spreadsheets, of like ranking them through there. And then we realized, looking at that, we talked with one of the professors, And he said, honestly, you guys are all sort of like all these problems are addressing the same population. It's all kind of the same issue. It's just different parts, you know, and it really helped us sort of find our bearing again, help us reframe the problem. And now we have a much clearer path. But that happened in the last 24 hours. So sometimes you just need those moments every now and then. They just come randomly.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like 1 month ago, yeah, I totally agree. You're just kind of like a leaf floating in the wind, you know. You'll land somewhere, and it's a struggle to get there. But yeah, I think there was a lot of, I mean, 1 month ago we'd have like 3 hour long meetings of just conversations about different problems that we could pursue and different aspects of those problems, and the underlying problems within a single problem, and just identifying the problem is definitely tricky. It's hard, and it's not always comfortable, but it definitely it forced me to grow a lot and to learn a lot. But yeah, I think, and we were doing a lot of interviews, we still are, with people on the ground in Ukraine and Romania, as well as in the US that have contacts in Ukraine, being savvy and trying to find anyone and everyone that we can talk to get their perspective and to interview them. That's what we were doing a month ago. And that's definitely, I will emphasize, that's when like the soft skills really were very important, and they still are. But being able to just communicate effectively with one another, express your ideas, write emails, host interviews, host one-on-one conversations, all of that is super important. We wouldn't have gotten to where we are now, doing more of the technical aspects, if we hadn't gone through that process. So yeah, that's what
for sure.
I'd say.
Awesome. That's just great to hear about like the different like all the different roads you guys went down in order to get to like this one, because it's true, there's so many like problems to be looked at within any conflict, let alone a global conflict that is affecting many places within Eastern Europe. So yeah, I was just personally curious of the process that your teams made to get there, since my team didn't have to do all of that ideating and kind of that all of that groundwork. I was just personally very interested in how your teams did it.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's a hell of a process.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Has being in this class and working on these projects like influenced what you might want to do in the future? Or are any of you looking to go into more of the entrepreneurship scheme now, or is still looking to apply your engineering skills in other aspects?
For me, I think it's partly too early to call. I think it could potentially, depending on how whatever the results are of our project. I'm certainly not opposed to going into entrepreneurship field. And I've also always been kind of interested in the startup industry in general. But I definitely do. I know that I want to go into industry, whether that's working at a large company or at a smaller startup. I'm fine with either. I know that, and I think that this class has reaffirmed that whatever I want to do with my career, I want it to be meaningful and have an impact on a more so humanitarian or an environmental climate change level, because that's kind of my focus. But yeah, working to address the larger, more so societal scale issues, I always find really exciting. So yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna sound like a corporate sellout, but I'm looking to go into strategy actually when I graduate. Not necessarily long term, but I definitely do want to like keep the entrepreneurship options open. It's a field that I'm very interested in. I'm very involved with it on campus in various capacities, especially in this class. And I definitely am going to industry at some point. Research is not necessarily where I see myself going. I'm going more into strategy post grad, just to sort of get, as weird as it sounds, education. Just to understand a little bit more about the corporate world, how everything works. Because I am not a business student; I'm an engineering student, and I'm still kind of lost in the whole business side. So I kind of want to round out myself a little bit more. But I definitely could see myself doing entrepreneurship work in the future. It's something that's very rewarding, if not very, very strenuous. And I again, like Emily mentioned, I think that it's unrivaled impact.
Awesome to hear. And then we have a couple minutes left. So my last question for the both of you is, what are you hoping to accomplish in this class? Or what is the dream of your team?
Oh man, we talk about this a lot as our North Star, and like what does it
North
mean?
Star.
Like what does a successful product or a successful team look like? Or not necessarily team, but like what does our team being successful look like? For me personally, it was very impactful going out to Ukraine, but I also have a commitment to my team. I am committed to my team here and making sure that we can get something through and get something meaningful that we can be proud of. So that's on kind of my like. I still want to have an impact as well, but I'm very committed to my team, and I would consider it successful if I can meet that criteria with my team. From our team as a whole, not necessarily me as an individual, but our team as a whole, we have decided that impactfully, like our success would be helping those people, those 65, those elderly people who are 65 and older, this elderly population who cannot leave Ukraine, making their lives easier. In any capacity. We're looking at the medication avenue, but there's all sorts of ways that can be done. And making sure that those who are like suffering inside of Ukraine as a result of this war and cannot get out, making sure that they are heard and they are cared for as much as can be done. As nebulous as that sounds.
No, you love to hear it. I mean, I think like, as we were talking about earlier, like these problems are so big. So even being able to help in really any capacity is one life impacted.
Yeah. And it might be a drone delivery service that, just gives you your daily, your weekly, monthly dose of medication or something like that. But I don't know. We're still working on that. Still working on the solution part. So when we come for pitches on next week, it'll be we'll see what shakes out. But
yeah.
I can definitely echo Nick there as well. I think that, one of my personal metrics, of course, is just feeling proud of what my team has been able to accomplish. But of course, you have to measure, what exactly it is that your team accomplishes and if that is successful in your mind. So I think to me, it's improving quality of life because the people living there, they are under constant air raids every day for hours on end, potentially in the middle of the night. And not only that, and not only has their whole life been disrupted, some of them, their husbands or sons, uncles, all the men, like they're out fighting the war. So being able to just improve the quality of life, particularly through providing heating, because having to shelter inside your own home and wearing like 4 layers of jackets and sweatshirts to try to potentially keep you somewhat warm in the below zero weather it's not a good experience. And so being able to improve that and just help them have a sense of comfort in their own home that's kind of the goal for me for this class, is to hopefully make an impact and improve someone's quality of life. Ideally, more than one person's, but
hey, gosh, that's somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, we might be in that same boat right there. Just a single person helping them get their meds.
Hey, and one person is one person. That's still someone whose life you're improving from halfway across the world. So I would call that a win.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Nick and Emily, so much for joining me today on this podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time. And for all our listeners out there, I hope that, you get a better sense of what our class entails and the awesome experience that we had, and that maybe you can have when hopefully coming to USC.
All right, everybody, welcome back into our little follow-up conversation here. Once again, Aisha, this is really, really cool. How did you get involved in taking this class? Was this always on your radar and something you always wanted to do?
Actually, no, I had no idea that a class like this existed. I probably would have signed up my first year if I had known about it. But I found out about this opportunity through my internship with Viterbi over the summer. I was working with the Viterbi Startup Garage, and one of the companies within that kind of space recruited me for the class.
Wow.
Because they're a student founded organization that was actually started in the class. So when they found out that I was a current student, they kind of grabbed me and pulled me in, and I'm really glad they
Very
did.
cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. And this is something that I know it's a highly emotional experience to go through this. And I know it's a lot of stuff you guys have already talked about, and definitely something that past students have discussed. Was it incredibly jarring to realize that no matter what you do, you're not going to fix the problem? Because I've heard in the past some students go to this and one of the most emotional things, especially that you can see in the documentary if anybody watches it, is that students were kind of super jazzed to solve the Syrian refugee crisis. And then there's a really quick realization of the naivete in that sentence, that, the product design is not going to solve the crisis, but you're trying to make a difference. So can you talk about that disparity of saving the world and still making a difference? And those are two different things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was something that we actually talked a lot about while we were on the trip, like in Romania, because it can be very demoralizing sometimes to be talking to these people and hear about the just extensive hardships that they've gone through and are continuing to go through, and then realizing that we are literally halfway across the world, and coming here and wanting to help, but not really sure how to produce something that will save them in a sense. So it's definitely a mindset shift from that, oh, we're gonna save these people, we're gonna save the world, because it's just not possible. And as sad as it is to say, that is the harsh reality, where we can't stop the war in Ukraine. If we could, we definitely would, but unfortunately we cannot. So having that mindset change of seeing the hardships these people are going through and using that as fuel for us to make systems that improve their quality of life and just brighten their day in the smallest way possible. Even making somebody's day is doing something for someone. So, and that's an impact. So having that kind of shift and saying that even if we can't stop the war, we can make somebody smile or make life easier for someone. So yeah, definitely a hard way to think about it, but the necessary way.
That's really great. And your class continues through next semester. Is that correct? It's
yes,
2 semesters,
it's a year-long class.
So what's going to happen next semester?
So next semester, once all of the groups, all of the teams are kind of done with, or they have their idea of how they think they can help, the other half of the class is going to go back to Romania in February.
So you won't go back?
I will not go back, unfortunately. Okay. I wish I could.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And they are actually going to talk to the same people that we did, as well as more, and to see if this really is addressing a need and if it will actually help these populations that are being affected. So kind of more of the implementation rather than the general talking, seeing what the needs are.
Okay. Well, my hat's off to you. I am always thoroughly impressed with everything our students do, but I'm probably most impressed with work like this, and especially just the level of maturity that you and the others take to it, and the difference that you're trying to make. It's a big deal. And so I'm incredibly envious. I'm incredibly impressed of the work that you've done, and I really salute you and all of your peers in doing this. And I hope that everybody gets a sense of not only just the hard work that you're putting into this, but the true passion that you have to make a difference. And it's not about getting a grade so much. It's about doing some really cool things. So I appreciate that. And to try to end on a lighter note, and you're doing that at the same time as preparing for your hip hop dance final, which I think is probably the coolest dichotomy of I don't know of any other engineering college student that is doing the work you're doing in Romania and taking a hip hop dance class. This is probably the coolest sentence I've ever said. And I'm again envious of both of these things individually and so much more so collectively. So Aisha, thank you so much for coming in and sharing this story. I think it would be great to have you back next semester, have a follow-up as to where you went with all this stuff, kind of pick up where you guys left off and have part 2 of this conversation and really see what happened to that. So hopefully if you're down, that'd be cool. And other than that, awesome. Cool. Other than that, we will say goodbye, and we hope that Maya's having a great time out in Las Vegas for the Pac-12 championship game, beat the Utes. And when this airs, we will know what happened, but I feel pretty good. Do you have a prediction for how this game's going to go, Aisha?
I don't want to speak anything into existence, but I'm feeling pretty good.
All right.
Tonight.
All right. Good. Okay. Thank you so much, Aisha. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. We will catch you next week with another episode of Viterbi Voices. Bye.